Well, there it is, the Champions Trophy for the first time since 2017. The Black Caps have booked their spot in the final, taking on the powerhouse that is India. We've already had a great 18 months on the park. What can they do in the one-day format? I'm Laura McGoldrick, very excited to be with you to talk about the Champions Trophy. And this is a competition that New Zealand knows all too well. Back in 2000, if you're a cricket lover like I am, you might remember some very iconic moments there. Cairns, two hands up in the air, the one-handed shot to get them across the line, and the Black Caps winning their very first ICC tournament. I'm joined by a couple of legends to talk about their very tournament. Before we get on to what is about to happen over in Dubai, Scott Styris alongside me. How are you feeling about this, Scotty? Is it feeling with nostalgia for you?
It is, because I was there at the launch, the team naming, and we tried to talk about the similarities between this squad and the squad we had in 2000. And I felt there were quite a few. So I gave them a good shot at getting right through and causing some issues for some of the so-called bigger nations in the cricket world. And I'm glad that they have, because the quality of their performances have been fantastic. They thoroughly deserve this final.
They've played some brilliant cricket, and the way they're winning by quite substantial margins, which is, I think, the most exciting thing for us, although their only loss has come to India. We're going to cross now to Blenheim, and another superstar who played such a key role in New Zealand's first Champions Trophy victory, Chris Cairns from Blenheim. How are you, Chris?
Oh, very well, thank you, Laura. Thanks for having me on.
Now, Chris, if we look at this Champions Trophy, what does it mean to you? Well, you heard it was coming back for the first time since 2017, being such a key part in the victory in 2000. What did you think of it coming back?
Look, it's a good initiative. I mean, you know, when you look at the way they structure ICC events now, we really don't get to the stage of what the Champions Trophy is until about 3 weeks into the tournament. So it's a high-powered 2-week event, which I think is great cricket. You know, 1 or 2 losses at the beginning, as Pakistan found out, and you're in trouble. So I love the format, and the fact that New Zealand's in the final was not really a surprise to me. I think, you know, we're a really good shot here.
It was tough going for Daryl, Pakistan as the host of this, and there was a lot made about, you know, the location of this tournament, but they got kicked out early. We helped with that a lot. And if I saw a stat that New Zealand has scored the most hundreds in this tournament so far. The batters have really stood up when they've needed to. What has been the most exciting part of this side for you, Scotty?
Well, I think this is when I talked about similarities between the 2000 win and this tournament. That's one of them. To win these sorts of tournaments, where it doesn't matter the format, you need 6, 7, 8 players all put in match-winning performances and contributions exactly when the match can go in either direction. And I think this New Zealand side have just won every key battle throughout. And a lot of that stems at the top. They've been setting the table, the top order batting. They've scored hundreds right through. That allows those closers to come in and really just play with absolute freedom. And the good scores have followed when the bowlers then can have the ability or the option to make some mistakes because the runs are on the board. So they have got those key contributions all the way through the batting order. They're going to have to do it again. Toss might be crucial. But if they continue with the form and the players standing up like they have been, then I'm with Kenzie. I think that they have every chance of winning this.
Yeah, okay, so thinking about your answer there, and then Chris, what you said about not being surprised to see New Zealand in the final, the Black Caps have been in an interesting spot for the last sort of 12 to 18 months. We look at results, particularly in the longer format, haven't quite been where we're used to with this Black Cap side, but there has also been quite a changing of the guards. So what made you feel so confident about this side?
I think the lessons learned from Laura from previous tournaments. I know there was a lot of criticism of the New Zealand side when they went to whether it was the last ICC tournament or the one before, and the fact that they had no preparation. And then I think going to Pakistan, because initially I was like, why are they playing Pakistan when they're playing Pakistan in the group stage of what's about to occur? But I think that they learned from what the failures were previously, went across to Pakistan, played in a tri-series with a depleted South African side and a full-strength Pakistan side, and did very, very well. And as Scotty will know, that tournament we played in 2000, we'd done okay in Zimbabwe, but sort of getting a bit of momentum, getting a win early on, I think does give you momentum into a tournament like this, which is hellishly critical. And so I think for me, looking at what they did in the lead up to the actual tournament, the way they've been playing, and then given the fact that they've had shall we say, an insight into what Dubai will be against their actual opposition, I think they're sitting in a really, really good position to put in a great performance.
Yeah, I was in the West Indies for the ICC event that you alluded to, the T20 World Cup, and it was bad. And they made a lot of excuses about the lack of preparation in the IPL and all those sorts of things. I guess this does speak volumes about the importance of preparation and the unit being together, despite having their injury issues at the beginning of the tournament. But let's go back to you saying you see parallels between 2000 and 2025, the sides. What are the main parallels? Is it those 7 and 8 guys that you think are stepping up at the right times? Or is it other things like the balance of the side that you see as parallels?
Not so much the balance. I think, yes, both sides back deep and they have so many bowling options throughout the batting component to your side. All of those things are true. New Zealand's always had that, though, so I don't see that as being a similarity that's led to success. What I do believe in, commentating on the IPL every year, the teams that are in the finals, the team that goes on to win it, is one that has often six or seven different man of the matches throughout the competition. And you could argue that New Zealand's had 6 or 7 man of the matches throughout this tournament individually with the way they've played. And that's exactly what happened in 2000. Paul Wiseman got wickets. Shane O'Connor got wickets. Roger Two's got a lot of runs. Steve Fleming got a lot of runs. Cairns with the 100 in the final. There was a partnership with Craig McMillan and myself against Pakistan. At various stages, somebody inevitably stood up and said, right, I'm going to grab the game by the scruff of the neck and I'm going to try and win it for my team. And I see that exactly in this Champions Trophy. The it's not just the wins as well. It's the quality of the performances that New Zealand have put on in this Champions Trophy that's been the pleasing part, because they've looked in total control. Other than that India match, which is why it'll be such a big struggle and they'll have to bring their A game. But throughout this tournament, they have just bossed the opposition, and that is what you're striving for, is players standing up, much like, the great Australian side that Kenzie and I played against. They would just stamp their authority on the match right from the start. We were able to do that for the most part, and if we got behind, we just kept fighting, and this side has been able to do that as well.
I want to talk about the Indian side that we will see when we face them in this final, but I'd like to first start with the Indian side that you guys played, Chris. And that was an incredibly strong Indian side with some huge up-and-comers coming in, doing a great job within the tournament. For you, when you approached the Indian side, knowing the powerhouse that they are, and they've also had an interesting time, if I bring it back to 2025, they've had an interesting time of late, so there's a bit of pressure there, but there's always been pressure on that Indian side because of how much the fans love their cricket. So how did you approach India as an opposition in a final of an ICC event?
With extreme caution. Their top order is just so strong. And again, I'm not sure how Scotty was feeling after 25 overs, but we were staring down 300. We had Ganguly and Tendulkar going at it. And it was quite funny because and this is where I think the difference in the modern game is that we played with one ball. So the ball itself is 50 overs old at the end of the 50 overs. However, the game today, the ball is only 25 overs old. So that's why the scores are bigger. And I think about 40 to 50 runs different than what they were sort of back then. But we always knew that if we could hang in there, yes, they could get a start, as they did, but then we could slow the game down off the back that the ball would wear and tear. And so that brings guys that change the pace. Scotty was great. Nathan was great. Harry was great. And then it's also harder to hit at the death. So that was something that we managed to cling on to. But even still, that none down after 25, Tendulkar and Ganguly there, we really were staring 300. So it was a bowling effort to keep them at 260, which, given the tournament and as a whole in Kenya, that was about par. So, we just knew that we needed a good start, and which we managed to get on the batting side. But against India, Laura, it's always the powerhouse of their batting, and how you contain them. And if you can contain them, and we managed to do that in the second half of the innings in Kenya in 2000.
All right, well, let's take a look back now at that first innings in Kenya in the final, New Zealand taking on India.
New Zealand have won the toss. They've chosen to bowl so that India will bat on a pitch which has been very meticulously prepared. The pitches have been very good for batting in this tournament. Everyone ready? Play, gentlemen, for the final of the ICC Knockout Trophy. It's Jeff Allott to Saurav Ganguly. What a way to start. What a way to start. A boundary off the first ball for India. Typical Tendulkar stroke, just a push back past the bowler for the second 4 in the opening over, and India have made a fantastic start. They're 9 without loss. Got it through. Long chase towards the boundary. It goes for 4. Just look how fast this outfield is. In the air, but 4. Whoa! Well, we've seen enough already today in this brief period. We've had 2 overs and 2 balls, and just in this brief period, we can see that we're going to have a high-scoring match.
Well, good thinking by the bowler. Short pitcher followed by a full-length delivery, but just overcooking the length. And this man is in top form.
4. He now needs only 3 runs to surpass his fellow Indian Mohammad Azharuddin as the highest scorer in one-day international cricket. Oh, magnificently struck. Another boundary. He's only dealing in boundary so far. Flicked away, no one will get there. That's another 4. Long chase from square leg, but he won't get there. First scoring shot of Chris Cairns comes from his 9th delivery.
And he's not that hard enough. The ball came down at 80 miles an hour and left at 180 miles an hour. And you can't do that. Can't bowl medium pace and bowl halfway down the pitch on a pitch as good as this and expect to deny Tendulkar a scoring shot. And that's what happens when you tie somebody down, but I can't believe it. This Craig McMillan has given his own version of the Sydney Harbour Bridge. And that's gone for 6. Well, an easy pick-up length for Tendulkar. And that's 4. Well, there was a bit of arm waving by Chris Harris.
Nice and easy, plenty of gaps, and that's a marvellous half-century from Sachin Tendulkar. The crowd hope that there will be much more where that came from.
Chris Cairns, though, what he has done and why he's been so economical is the fact that he's bowled straight. He's bowled a lot straighter than any of the other bowlers.
6. Wonderful stroke from Ganguly. The fielding restrictions ending so abruptly at 15 overs causes this lull. It causes that lull generally, and maybe the authorities need to look at a way of alleviating that. Ganguly's found his own way of alleviating it. He's smashed Cairns for 4 over mid-wicket, and it's his 50. Great way to go to a half-century for the Indian captain. He's in wonderful form in this tournament.
That's gone. That's a huge 6. Ganguly gets hold of that one off the middle of the bat. Nathan Aspinall continues now, and a full toss. Really the first bad ball we've seen from him. Dispatched clinically by Ganguly. Run out chance at the bowler's end. Gone. What a breakthrough. Tendulkar run out. Scott Styris returning to the bowler's end, and Sachin Tendulkar put on the brakes, but it was too late.
Well, what a mix-up. Ganguly wanted it straight away. Tendulkar said no, then he realised it was in the gap. You see, then it's the mix-up, and by that time, Tendulkar had gone. A great throw from Scott Styris, neatly taken by Astill. He does the rest, and that was the only way they were going to break this partnership. They've done it. Tendulkar for 69, 141 for 1.
And it's in the air, but that's another big 6. And welcome back to the crease, Nathan. Another 6, but they won't have to fetch that one because it's going to come back to the top of Nathan Astill's bowling mark. He'll look for two here and will bring up his century. Well played, sort of Ganguly. Second century this tournament and his sixth century this millennium. And that may have gone to the fence. It has. So a little bit of bat on it. Nice, fine leg glance.
Oh, trouble here. Well, I think he's got back. Third umpire's going to have a look here.
Well, it was odds on. And then Styris wasn't sure. He was going to try and do it himself, then realised Dravid was on the way back, underarmed it. And Allett has got a little way to go here, and I think he's just got him. He has. And another mix-up, so Mr. Runout strikes twice. He's gone, Royal Dravid. 202 for 2.
He swung through that, straight out. Harris at deep mid-on, Ganguly goes for 117. Second successive century from him. Fine innings, but he's been undone by a combination of Nathan Aslett and Chris Harris. Oh, it's beaten short, third man and backward point. What a great shot that is. Perfectly timed and hammered down the ground for 4 more. It's in the air and it's out. Well, that really is a poor little innings from Cambley. O'Connor takes the catch.
Out for 1, 229 for 4.
In the air, an easy catch. Yuvraj goes. New Zealand continue to pull India back.
It's all gone awry for India. Yuvraj Singh gone for 19, 237 for 5.
Fine shot. Brilliant shot. Picked it up off the legs. The line was wrong. Well caught. Coming in and making a good catch.
Well, New Zealand, they've not allowed India to build any momentum. Very well caught by Craig Spearman, moving forward, catching it probably about 4 or 5 inches above the ground. Robin Singh is gone for 13, 256 for 6. This is a nice last over he's bowling here. Just 5 runs off it so far. Anything under 8, he'll be happy.
Down the ground, they'll try and make 2 out of this. They won't. So 1 run comes off the last ball of the innings, and India 264 for 6 from their 50 overs. Still a good score, but you can see the team that feels the happier. The momentum has shifted quite markedly from the first half of the Indian innings to the last half, and New Zealand colours are flying high. Smiles on New Zealand's faces because they know that they pulled India back from a score which looked as if it was going to be up around 300. There is that tremendous start that India had between Ganguly and Tendulkar. They put on 141 from 161 deliveries. Dravid and Ganguly then put on a further 51. But after that, with those 2 runouts, what crucial runouts they were. 2 top batsmen, Ganguly with his second successive 100 to follow his unbeaten 141 against South Africa, 264 for 6. And the New Zealanders, Allett and O'Connor, taken apart from their first 4 overs of the innings, but then pulled back first of all by Cairns, even with his injured knee, coming off a short run. He put the brakes on initially. Styris chipped in with 2 for 53, in addition to his 2 runouts in the field. Astle 1 for 46, and New Zealand really did extremely well to limit India to 264 for 6 on a fast-scoring ground in ideal batting conditions.
I'm still joined by 2 of the stars of that fantastic win over in Kenya. Scott Styris and Chris Cairns alongside me, although Chris beaming in from Blenheim. Close to me, though, which is nice. Scotty, if we look back at that first innings, it did feel like you're in a spot of strife halfway through.
Yes.
there. Hell of a team you were playing against India. Talk me through what you're a young man in this side.
Yeah.
You're kind of under a bit of pressure. It is a final. We haven't won a trophy at this point. So what was going through your mind as a young man on that field?
I think you don't really know at that point. I'd played maybe 10 games at that point, so I was still making my way, trying to figure out whether I was good enough to play consistently and put in performances for New Zealand at the international level. So you're just trying to concentrate on doing your job well. I always personally loved world events, the ICC events, because everybody's there at the same place, in the same conditions, and then you get the ability to show people on the biggest stage how good you are. So, taking that opportunity to try and contribute to the team in some way, I think was a big driver on a personal level, considering that I'd only played maybe 10 games for New Zealand at that point. But, we've touched on the batting. Kenzie's already talked about Yuvraj Singh. That was when he came in as an 18-year-old as well. We know the career he had. He was phenomenal. And he had just taken that tournament by storm because of an innings he'd played against Australia. So he added to that big three at the top with Ganguly, Tendulkar and Dravid. He was to come, and that's why, at one point 300 was looking like it was on the cards, and we were going to have more than likely no show at chasing that down. So it was a really top quality performance from all of our guys to keep them to 260.
Yeah, way to keep positive there, though, Scotty.
Yeah, I know.
But it is an unbelievable, like you say those names. I mean, you could even just put Tendulkar and you go, that is a very strong Indian side. And that is one of the great Indian teams. So when you get yourself into a position where they're 140 odd without loss, Christopher, you coming in off the back of your sore knee, what are you saying as a senior guy in this side? I mean, I'm sure, a career highlight would be winning this trophy. So for you, what's going through your mind when you're watching these runs just tick over, tick over, tick over, and you know what this Indian side's capable of?
Well, firstly, I've got to thank Scott Styris for coming in the semi-final when I didn't play, and he took my place in the semi-final and actually played a huge part in getting us to the final. So look, he's been pretty modest with regards to his performance. I mean, Scotty was as combative as anybody, and so the overs that he was bowling in the middle, along with Nathan, along with Harry, were really, really important for us and actually one of the best things that happened was Tendulkar getting out for about 70, and then as Ganguly got closer to 100, from about 85 he sort of went for a runs because you could almost sense that he wanted to get the 100. So it sort of slowed down a little bit, and so that was one aspect that sort of helped us. I think was him closing in on 100 because he just didn't want to risk getting out for without getting those three figures. But I think overall, Laura, in the field, when we're up against those guys, you just have to hang in there. I mean, we were in similar situations against that exact team in a tour in '99. Where they went on and got 350. So, for us to halt them, and there was, depth in their lower order, I think we went off the field thinking, yeah, we're a chance. As Scotty said, 300, everything has to be perfect and go your way. But, when you're chasing mid 250s, you can have a couple of hiccups and still be okay.
You are being modest, Scotty. You were involved in some pretty big moments in that innings to sort of turn things around and slow down the back half of that 50 overs. I'm thinking of some run outs there that we can talk about. What gave you the confidence as a young man, only having the 10 sort of odd games under your belt, to go, I'm going to take you on here, Sachin Tendulkar, as you've run. Here we go.
Yeah, well, I wish I could say they were Glenn Phillips-esque fielding performances or Jonty Rhodes of the day. But
let's keep it in perspective.
Yeah, I know. It was maybe let's spot the lemon in the field. We'll hit it to him and just rain. That's what happened. Yeah,
every lemon has their day.
That's exactly right, and that's what happened. Yeah, they were turning points. It was mentioned even by the commentary that when I was looking back at the game coming here, that was the only way we were going to get a wicket. That's literally what the commentator said. So India were just powerful at that point. They were cruising along. They were very similar conditions to what India plays on normally. Nairobi in Kenya was a tiny ground, so the boundaries were going to flow should they have wickets left at the end. So it was really important that, as Kenzie said, that we just stayed and we just kept fighting. We kept fighting, and if we could just chip wickets out, then they wouldn't have that firepower at the back end. Teams back then didn't perhaps bat as deep as what they do today, and therefore, from about 8, you were looking okay bowling at the death. So, the guys did exactly that. And I'm a big believer in the momentum into the half-time break, and we had pulled it right back. And watching that little bit of footage, the smiles on all of our faces that we knew that we had done a great job and pulled them back, I think was part of the reason why we had some confidence going into that second innings that we could run these Indians down.
If you look at the top order for the Indian side that you played in 2000, can you see any parallels, Chris, between that and the side that is about to take on New Zealand in this 2025 final?
Yeah, good question. I don't think they're as good. When you look at the quality of Ganguly, Tendulkar, Dravid, I mean, they're all-time greats. Rohit Sharma, yes, of course, but I think he's on the other side of where he's at in his career. Shubman Gill's a great player, and of course Kohli. But what's actually really lucky for New Zealand is that probably some of the best Indian players at the moment are actually not even at the tournament. And so with India, you're always dealing with politics. And so I think there are probably better players that are out there that are playing in other formats for India that are not here at the Champions Trophy. So when we're looking like for like, I think for me the danger for New Zealand in this particular tournament will be Kohli and Hardik Pandya. Pandya for me is a special player, and he's very, very dangerous at the back end. So if you can remove Kohli and also get rid of Pandya so he can't be destructive, KL Rahul he slips under the radar a little bit. So yes, I think they're a good side, but I think that side that we played in Kenya from a top order aspect was stronger. But I think that this Indian team probably has more depth.
All right, so in 2000, India had 264 on the board. Let's have a look at New Zealand's reply.
In the air and gone. Yuvraj Singh, the youngster, can't stay out of the limelight. And Spearman's form continues. He never got over the top of the ball at all, and he just sliced it into the hands of Yuvraj Singh. What a start for India, a wicket in the second over.
He's dismissed for 3, 6 for 1 it is now, New Zealand.
A volley, and that's 4. And that's what Ian Bishop was talking about. You can't give any width at all on such a good pitch. Nathan Asser will throw his arms at the line of the ball regardless of the length. Short ball, and he plays the hook shot very well, and that's 4. One bounce over. It's in the air for a long time, but it was nice and flat. Again, that lack of footwork from Astle, but he does try and hit the ball hard on the offside. Just seems to stand in his stance position. But when he's in good form on such a good batting pitch, he's a very dangerous play. Got a bowl at the body. And lovely straight hit. That'll go all the way as well. Lots of boundaries are on offer. So you must bowl absolutely spot on. Online very close, and that's out. Stephen Fleming knew it as well. A little bit of late in swing. Fleming trapped, and what a wicket for India. The New Zealand captain has gone.
It's a big wicket for Venkatesh Prasad in India. You could almost sense that this was going to come at some point. A little bit of movement back into Stephen Fleming, and that is pretty straight, pretty adjacent. That's dead. Stephen Fleming falling across the line. Just look at where the head is, but he's gone now for 5, 37 for 2.
Two's in good form. He's clipped that nicely off his pads, and that'll go all the way to get him off the mark with a boundary. Good start for Two's, but a good over for India. 6 overs gone, and it is 37 for 2.
Lovely shot. Roger Two's in such dominant form. And when you bowl a half volley just right outside the off stump, that's what it's going to get. Lovely shot down the ground. If it beats the fielder, it's 4, and it does. Kumble, this time not being able to make the save. Lovely shot, found the gap. Robin Singh's after it, won't get there.
Zahir Khan again. Oh, thump through the offside 4. Don't even bother running for that, Nathan Astle. Great shot. Now, is there an inside edge on that? Yeah, I think there is. Just trying to flick it away on the leg side. The attacking field has paid dividends for India. They've pegged New Zealand back. 82 for 3 and Astler's gone. Well bowled, Anil Kumble. Typical Cairns, stand and deliver. Great way to get off the mark and to show your intentions. Good shot. Good use of the feet, gave himself a little bit of room, and chopped it away backward of square for 4. No mistake with that one. May have chipped the first one, but the width there has allowed him to play a very controlled stroke backward of point for 4. Slower ball in the air and over mid-off for 4 more. Just got enough on it. Ganguly with a despairing dive.
Well bowled and a stubbing chance. He'll go to the third umpire, and I think the foot was in the air. Vijay Dahiya thinks it's in the air, and Twos again showing his weakness against this turning ball. It looked like it just slid past his bat.
And I think the impression given by Roger Twos is that he might be gone. Well bowled by Anil Kumble, the googly sliding across Roger Twos. The back foot drags out. Very well done by Vijay Dahiya, and I think that's gone.
And that's a swat around the corner, and it'll go all the way to the fence. It does. No way Vinod Kambli could get to that. And again. So that's going to give Anil Kumble and sort of Ganguly something to think about. That was an even better shot than the first one. Nice and square. In the air, and the long hop has got the wicket. So Chris Cairns, he can't believe it. Tendulkar, just a little bit of magic. Bad ball, and Craig McMillan is out. Chris Cairns the other end just shakes his head.
This is the man they want.
Fine stroke. Now, in contrast to McMillan, Chris Cairns right on top of that one and finding the gap.
Cairns goes, and that's 6. Flat 6, crash. So he only has to play normally on the offside as well, and he'll score equally as easily. Except for bad balls. Now that may go to the fence. Be a very important boundary it is. Good shot from Chris Harris, well timed, and most importantly, well placed. And again, consecutive boundaries. So Kumble had him all ends up the first 2 deliveries, and he's hit consecutive boundaries and a 2, so 10 runs with the ball to go. Chance around at the bowler's end, and what a mistake, and what a mistake. And they'll get their single. Always a single to mid-wicket. Well, can you believe the throw came back at 100 miles an hour? It wasn't Singh's fault. He looks to go straight. That's his strength, boundary. So what will Ganguly tell his youngster now?
Straight back over Prasad's head. Long off, can't get it, it's 4. That's the end to the over that New Zealand wanted. It's 221 for 5. Fielding and batting side. Over the top, full toss for Zahir, gets it slightly wrong, and Harris capitalises. That's got the over off to a good start. That's found the gap through the leg side. That's finished the over with another boundary. 10 off the over. What a good one. It's 231 for 5. Straight. 6. Harris punches the air. Cairns remains calm and cool as a cucumber. He's into the 90s. Just one left. 24 from 19. trying to get it as close to run a ball as they can. Oh, beautifully played. Got it away fine. That's going to run away for 4. 2 brilliant shots from Chris Cairns to finish the over. It's 2:45 for 5. Chris Cairns, New Zealand all-rounder, on 99. 12 from 11 needed by New Zealand. Slower ball, that's Cairns' 100. What a fine innings that is. Punches the air in delight. That is a marvellous effort from the man who wasn't even sure he was going to play this morning. 100 from 110 balls.
Nothing less than a standing ovation. That's what he deserves. Chris Cairns, 100 of 110 balls. There weren't too many claps when he reached his 50, but that 100 has to be appreciated and acknowledged.
Another slower ball. Caught it. An extra cover. Robin Singh, both feet off the ground, leaping away to his left. Gets rid of Chris Harris. This throws the game right back into the melting pot. New Zealand need 11 from 9. They're 254 for 6.
Is it too late for India? We never know. A good slow ball, and the length on this occasion was very good. It wasn't short of length, it was pitched right up, getting Chris Harris to play the drive. Understandable shot in this circumstance, but look at that catch. Robin Singh, 37 years old, 2 feet high in the sky to latch onto that one.
Prasad to Parori. It's off the pad, it's away fine. Fine leg is up in the circle. That's going away for 4. It's 4 leg byes, but that doesn't matter at all to New Zealand. They've got it down to less than a run a ball now. Going to get another one here. Might even come back for 2. Tendulkar with a throw. Has Parori gone? Don't think he collected the ball. Prasad it was that had followed through to get up to the stumps, and he dropped the ball, and Parori's back for 2.
The batsman was short of the crease, but I don't think Prasad had the ball in his hand when he whipped the bails off. There you are, batsman well out of the crease, but the ball out of his hand when he whipped the bails off. I think that's what mattered in the end. Batsman survives, New Zealand survive.
Agarkar to Cairns. Straight down the ground, he'll take the one. That's rifled. Cambley, the man doing the fielding. 2 from 5.
They would want to keep Parori on strike, just to keep the pressure up. Get some panic into the New Zealand dressing room.
Suggests the fielders have to be closer. Running. Easy one, just stay at 1. New Zealand need 1 to win. The scores are level. 1 to win from 4 balls. Ganguly has to bring everybody in here and make Cairns hit over the top. He has to.
Well, Ganguly in a very sad position here. His fielders encouraging him to get more fielders in. Here he comes, Agarkar.
No, says Cairns. Parori, can he get back? Yes, he can. Nervous smiles all round. It's 1 off 3 to win. Remember, if the scores are level, we have a bowl out. Cairns has to go over the top. The fielders are crowning him. Full toss, they've done it. New Zealand are there. Worked away for the single that gives New Zealand victory. 265 for 6. What a stunning effort that is. New Zealand win this ICC knockout trophy by 4 wickets. Chris Cairns, who wasn't even sure that he could play this morning because of that injured knee, has got an unbeaten 102 and has steered New Zealand to a wonderful win.
This is what success can do. Chris Cairns picked up that winning run and then sprinted off the field. Just forgot about his knee injury. And yes, class, we see the New Zealanders dominating scenes here. What a match, the last of the tournament.
Well, Sourav Ganguly desperately disappointed. They'll be distraught, the Indians. They should have scored more than 264. This is the last ball. Cairns with a heave away to the leg side. All he had to do was get bat on it. What about that for a celebration?
A team that wins all matches in the tournament, the champions, New Zealanders. It is on the second occasion. Parore and Cairns doing the job for New Zealand. Indians played well in the tournament, not well enough to win the tournament. So there will be celebrations, but not in the Indian dressing room, but here.
Didn't get off to the best of starts, New Zealand. They lost Spearman for 3, Fleming, the captain, for 5, and then Astle and Twos just got things going a little. 37 and 31 from those two. Cairns, brilliant, 102. McMillan, 15. Harris played really well for 46, and Parore just came in at the end to seal the victory. 265 for 6. 4 balls into the last over. New Zealand win by 4 wickets. Indian bowlers, well, Tendulkar and Singh were very good at the bottom there. 1 for 38 from 10 and none for 32 from 10. So too Prasad, 3 for 27. Kumble perhaps a little bit disappointing, 2 for 55. Summary of the match: India 264 for 6. Ganguly, let's not forget that, 117, his second century in succession. Marvellous performance by him. Tendulkar 69, but it wasn't enough because New Zealand made 265 for 6 thanks to Chris Cairns, 102 not out. Marvellous win for New Zealand. They've won by 4 wickets. They are the ICC knockout trophy holders.
You may as well take the trophy, Flem.
And there was our first ever ICC tournament win back in 2000. I'm still joined by Scott Styris and Chris Cairns, who played crucial roles in that tournament. So let's get straight to it. Chris Cairns, that was, for a cricket fan, I was up late. I mean, all the Kiwis, and I'm sure they'll be doing it again tonight, up watching this game, watching it unfold. One of my most iconic memories is you running with both arms. Mav was busy trying to get a stump, but you were running 2 arms up in the air into it, to hit the winning runs, to play the role you did in that final to get New Zealand across the line. Is that one of your prouder moments representing New Zealand?
Oh, absolutely, Laura. I mean, I like all of the guys in our era, we enjoyed sort of treading on, virgin snow with regards to where we went, what we did. We tried to sort of create history, and to do it in that environment was something pretty special. But look, I mean, that was the end of what was a whole tournament. There was a raft of players that contributed to get us to that stage. So it was a truly team performance with everything that occurred. And even in that match, from a personal point of view, I was never under the pump from a scoring perspective, because Nathan scored at a runner ball. Roger Twos did the same thing. We had contributions from Macca, who was so there was never any scoreboard pressure. So from a run chase point of view, you could ease into the match and take it to the end. So it was the culmination, I think, of a wonderful New Zealand cricket effort.
Scotty, you're in next to bat. Mav, Adam Parore running between the wickets, 1 ball to win. Chris calls him back. There's a bit of a panic there. We're all at home going, oh dear, no. We don't need. How were you feeling watching this unfold?
You always prefer to be in the middle because you have a, yeah, of course, because you can control.
Absolutely.
You can control what's going on. In some weird way, you feel like you know what you're doing. Therefore, I'd rather be out there doing it. It's a lot worse now that you're retired, sitting back watching the game, because you have absolutely no say in what's going on, and you.
Or you have no athletic ability. Watching from your couch. That also.
It's terrible. Possibly happened too. So yeah. So I mean, And I came off, I was there at the end in the semi-final against Pakistan. So all of a sudden you're thinking you're all that, and your batting's going okay. So you can't wait to get back out there. And so the nerves were there, no question. Anyone in a big moment who's waiting to bat, that is always the case. But in saying that, you just wanted to be out there as well, because at least you had a say in what was going on, and you didn't walk away from the ground having lost and thought, I didn't get an opportunity to influence it and get the game over the line for us.
Well, you'd had such a big part to play in that first innings. But I have a couple of things I remember. You with your arms up and your pink side burns on your helmet. The stitching over was it the clear sign on those great W Star tops where they just stitched over the tournament emblem over whatever you had on your thing. But there was a few nervous faces, I think, particularly Stephen Fleming watching on from the balcony there, Chris. But you had no scoreboard pressure. Were you calm knowing that you were in a final and every, yes, you did have the scoreboard pressure, but it is a final and funny things happen to people in finals.
Yeah, they do. But the one thing about finals, Laura, is that people, I think where they make mistakes and fail in finals is that they go out trying to do more, or they think they have to do more than what they're actually capable of. The people who I think that win and succeed in finals are the ones that just go out there and perform to the level that they know they can do, because everything else is crumbling around you. And I think, in that match, I had Harry batting with me. So Harry and I batted we had about a 100+ run partnership. And I mean, Harry and I had done that for about a decade with Canterbury during our time together. And I always used to love batting with Harry because we'd sort of come mid-pitch in between overs, and Harry would go, "Oh, yeah, mate, how am I looking? I'm going okay. If I just punch it out to the side there, I can get a 1 there. I could work around there. Or maybe I should go down the pitch and actually give it a crack. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think?" And he'd go, "Yeah, okay, good chat. Yeah, good chat." And then we'd walk around and go back. So and that was the routine.
Did you need to ask any questions of yourself out there?
No. Harry was just always about just getting going. But it was great because I never wanted to say anything. I was just focused on what I was doing, and Harry was always just freaking out. So together we always worked really well. And look, he was one of my old mates going back to when we played against each other in South Island Primary School cricket when we were 11. And so to have him out there and be in that environment with no scoreboard pressure, which was given to us by the guys up the order, it was the perfect scenario, Laura. And so we were fortunate to be in that position of familiarity. Yes, it's in a bigger stage, but ultimately you just do what you do, right? Just do your job. And that's what we managed to do that day.
You talk about the top of the order taking a bit of pressure off there. Roger Too's had one heck of a tournament. He was a real standout for you. Wasn't there another player? I mean, Chris obviously scored in that ton. Yourself, everyone stepped up. But was there one player that if you could give a New Zealand player player of the tournament, who would that be, Scott?
Oh, gee.
Welcome.
Roger, yeah, that's a tough one. I wouldn't necessarily go past Roger Too's. I was really disappointed when he retired not long after that. It might have even been after Kenzie might be able to help. The South African tour that immediately followed the Champions Trophy for us. Because what I enjoyed about him was that he was probably the smartest cricketer around in terms of the New Zealand environment. I say that with respect to everyone else there because there's a lot of brains involved. But he was not necessarily the most talented, not the most athletic, but he'd figured his game out, and his performances and the consistency with his performances was a major reason why there was some solidity amongst that top order, batting at number 4, I think he was at that time. So I enjoyed just listening to what he had to say about batting and how he tried to work things out, because that was the success or the reason why he had success at the international level. So Roger Too's was a big part of it, and I thought he had a lot more cricket left in him. Unfortunately, he decided that it was time to move on, but he was just a rock for us in the middle.
To play in a place like Kenya, which you don't see much cricket happening there, sort of at the ICC tournaments at least at the moment. How do you celebrate a big win like this, our first ICC tournament victory, Chris Cairns, when you're over in Kenya and you've just been an unbelievable India side? What do those celebrations look like?
Well, Laura, one of the most endearing memories I have, not only from that tournament, but arguably from my career as a New Zealand player, was just after that, when we were on the bus on the way back from the ground to the hotel, and Christopher Doy, the CEO of New Zealand Cricket at the time, was with us during the tournament. And as people may or may not know, he was one of New Zealand's top opera singers. And And I'd always been trying to goad him into like showing us that he could actually sing, but he would refuse on every occasion to actually do so. But on the way back on the bus, we actually sang the national anthem, and I gave Chris a heads up, and he said, "I will sing this song. That is the only time that I'll never sing for you, Chris." And so he joined in, and it was awesome. And so, you know, to have that sort of moment, and I think, you know, Scotty will have his moments, Shane O'Connor will have his, Glenn Salzberger will have his, but to have those sort of little moments during that time, and then obviously to get back to the hotel and change into our safari suits that we had actually had made for us in Zimbabwe, to then head out for our post ICC Champions victory for a karaoke event where we were the only ones in the bar, I believe, was again very, very special. But you know, Chris Doig's no longer with us. Having him here do that for me was one of those special things.
I am going to need to see some proof of those safari suits.
I brought mine home, and I cannot find it for the life of me. I've had the odd fancy dress or whatever it was, and I have gone looking for it high and low, and I can't.
Scotty, we actually got some guys in from the local tailor.
Yeah, come in and eyes. Yeah, these were like
we got
old Richie Adam measured it up all.
And well, maybe we knew that something was going to happen in Kenya, right?
So we graduate safari suits.
Safari suits, correct. Measured up. Everybody chose their fabric with regard to sun up, and it may have even been shorts and short sleeve.
They were. Oh no, it wasn't shorts, but it was short sleeve.
Of course.
Yeah, but it was long trousers. I think if we ever manage to get a Champions Trophy reunion, then
we all need to
come back in the safari suits.
Okay, so we fast forward to now, and we are not far away from the Black Caps taking on India in the Champions Trophy final. If we look at the side, you both are not surprised they're in this final. Can they win this thing, Scott Styris?
They can. I think India's under immense pressure to do so. They celebrate all the time these ICC titles that they win. They know. It's all over social media that New Zealand are 2-0 against them in ICC finals, being this particular one we've been talking about, plus the Test Championship. They have yet to beat New Zealand in a final of an ICC event, so they are well aware of it. India know there's been a lot of criticism, of course, with the schedule, that if they don't win, then there'll be a lot of celebration outside of India for that. I think there's no doubt India are the best side, but New Zealand have been terrific. They really have, and they deserve to walk away with the trophy because they have been fantastic.
And I guess, you know, being an underdog is a title that New Zealand gets a lot, especially when it comes to cricket. I'm not sure we always deserve it. Especially at the moment, given the type of cricket that we are playing, Chris. So what are the odds as far as you're looking at this final? Who India have, who New Zealand have going head to head, knowing what we know, the conditions, which India are all too familiar with given they've played all their games in Dubai. Who are the favourites?
No, Scotty's right. India 100% are favourites, given the home advantage. And let's not muck around with that. I mean, I know there's some pushback from the Indian camp with regards to the fact that it's not, but of course it is. So they've been comfortable. New Zealand have been travelling, but they've had a look and they've had a peep at what the situation is going to be like in Dubai. And I think that, you know, New Zealand weren't far off the mark. I felt that in that last match in Dubai, Laura, Mitchell and Williamson got bogged down. I would have one tweak. I'd keep the same side. I would elevate Tom Latham up the order, because I think our advantage in this match in the batting lineup is going to be our left-handers. And it's going to be our left-handers against the Indian spinners to be able to manoeuvre that ball around. And then I would like to see Mitchell Santner bowl as many overs as he can against Kohli, because potentially whoever wins that particular matchup is going to come out on top.
Well, this is very exciting. Gentlemen, I want to thank you so very much for your thoughts today. I've loved going back in time with you and have it quite far back, actually, gents. Just joking. I remember watching it, so it's not that far back, just the other day. Just the other day. Chris Cairns, Scott Styris, you are legends, and we are very much looking forward to this matchup. India taking on the Black Caps in Dubai International Cricket Stadium for the Champions Trophy final in 2025. Good luck to the Black Caps.